there is a quiet weight that many of us carry every day, a burden that is often invisible to the outside world, but profoundly felt within. It is the weight of unspoken words, the things we never say, the confessions we never make, the truths we hold in our hearts but leave unexpressed. These silences are not trivial. They are the invisible threads that shape our relationships, our sense of self, and the way we move through the world. When someone truly matters to us, someone whose presence shapes our thoughts, our decisions, and even our emotional well-being, we often hesitate to speak what is most important. Fear, pride, shame, or uncertainty keep us quiet. We tell ourselves that the timing isn't right, that the other person might not understand, or that somehow the message isn't ours to give. And yet, in holding back, we create a space filled with tension and doubt. Every unspoken word becomes a ghost in the background, influencing how we interpret actions, gestures, and silences, often in ways we do not even realize. The tragedy is that this weight of silence is cumulative. It compounds with every day that passes without expression. Small misunderstandings grow into assumptions. Assumptions grow into resentment. Resentment grows into a barrier between what could have been fully shared and what remains locked away. We carry these unspoken words as though they were invisible, but their effects are tangible. They shape our moods, our fears, and our capacity to connect authentically with the person we care about. And yet, there is a profound power in recognizing this weight. To become conscious of what has gone unspoken is to confront the reality of our own avoidance. It is to acknowledge that the final message from someone we care about, or even the act of delivering a message ourselves, has the capacity to release years of built-up tension, to clarify misunderstandings, and to illuminate truths that have remained hidden. Often, what we fear will disrupt the relationship is precisely what can heal it. The act of speaking what is true, even if it is uncomfortable, carries with it the possibility of transformation. This is not about impulsive honesty or reckless confrontation. It is about awareness, reflection, and the courage to bring clarity where ambiguity has reigned. The smartest, most emotionally aware people do not speak every thought, but they recognize the moments when words carry power, when a message can open doors, dissolve fear, and change the trajectory of a relationship. The final message, whether given or received, has the potential to be one of these moments. And so we must ask ourselves, what have we left unsaid, and how has it shaped our lives? How many opportunities for understanding, reconciliation, or connection have we allowed to slip away simply because we were afraid to speak? The realization can be uncomfortable, but it is also liberating. For in recognizing the weight of unspoken words, we find the responsibility and the freedom to release them. Because the truth is simple, the words we do not say do not vanish. They linger, shaping our hearts and our minds in silence. And the moment we choose to confront that silence, to honor it with awareness and courage, we open the door to clarity, to healing, and to the kind of transformation that can truly change everything. There is a profound truth that often goes unnoticed in our relationships. Actions are rarely neutral, and intentions are rarely obvious. We watch the people we care about move through the world, making choices that sometimes confuse us, hurt us, or leave us questioning their love or commitment. And in those moments, we naturally fill in the gaps with assumptions. We interpret behaviors through the lens of our own fears, insecurities, or past experiences, often missing the real story beneath the surface. Your person, the one who matters most to you, may have lived through struggles, doubts, or pressures you could never fully see. Every word they spoke, every gesture they made, was filtered through layers of circumstance, emotion, and personal history. The final message, the one they are trying to convey at the deepest level, is designed to pierce through these layers of misunderstanding. It is meant to clarify, to illuminate the intentions that were always there, but may have been hidden, obscured, or misinterpreted. When someone's actions have been misread, The mind naturally invents narratives to explain what cannot yet be understood. Perhaps they were distant at times, silent when connection was needed, or hesitant to express what they felt. Without insight into the intention behind these actions, it is easy to feel rejection, indifference, or even betrayal. And yet, intention is subtle. It is not always declared loudly. It does not always align with outward appearances. But it is real, and when it is revealed, it can transform the way we perceive the past, the present, and the future. The final message functions as a bridge between perception and reality. It allows you to step out of the story you may have constructed and see your person in the fullness of who they are, flaws, fears, love, and all. It offers a perspective that you could not access on your own, because perspective is not just about observation, it is about understanding the unseen currents that guide behavior. And in understanding those currents, you gain clarity that is both liberating and transformative. This recognition is not about excusing hurt or ignoring pain. It is about understanding that behind every action, whether intentional or constrained by circumstance, there is a deeper truth waiting to be heard. When we fail to recognize the true intention behind someone's choices, we remain trapped in a cycle of misinterpretation, resentment, and distance. But when intention is revealed, even quietly, it offers the possibility of connection, forgiveness, and insight that can fundamentally change how we relate to that person and how we relate to ourselves. Hearing the final message is a rare opportunity. It is a chance to strip away the assumptions that cloud judgment, to perceive the subtle love, concern, or care that may have been hidden beneath imperfect communication. It asks you to pause, to reflect, and to embrace a deeper understanding of the person who has always mattered. Because intention shapes reality. And when the hidden intentions of your person are revealed, it has the power to reshape your perception, to dissolve misunderstandings, and to open a space where empathy, clarity, and emotional freedom can flourish. The message is clear: before you judge, before you react, before you hold on to past narratives, take a moment to see the truth behind the actions. Recognize the intention. For in that recognition lies not only understanding, but the first step toward transformation. There is a profound moment that occurs when a person finally hears the message they have been longing for, whether they realize it or not. It is not simply a transmission of words, but an awakening, a sudden clarity that reshapes perception and dissolves old patterns. Many of us move through life carrying emotional narratives that distort reality, filling the gaps between actions and intentions with fear, doubt, or resentment. And often, we do this unconsciously, thinking we understand the people we care about, when in reality, our interpretations are filtered through our own pain and past experiences. The final message from your person is different. It pierces through those filters. It bypasses the assumptions and defenses you may have built around yourself and directly engages your emotional awareness. In that moment, the mind begins to see what the heart has long felt but could not articulate. The message does not simply provide information, it shifts the way you perceive the relationship, the history, and even your own judgments. What may have seemed like distance or indifference now takes on a new dimension. What may have seemed like rejection now carries intention, love, or care that was always there, but previously invisible. This awakening is not always immediate or comfortable. Often, it triggers waves of emotions: relief, grief, surprise, or even guilt. But these emotions are part of the process. They are the mind and heart recalibrating, adjusting to a new understanding. And within that recalibration lies a profound opportunity, the chance to release old patterns of resentment, to let go of misunderstandings, and to approach the person and the relationship with clarity that was previously impossible. It is important to recognize that this emotional awakening does not erase the past. It does not rewrite history or eliminate the experiences that shaped you. Instead, it reframes them. It allows you to reinterpret events not as evidence of indifference or neglect, but as moments influenced by circumstance, intention, or human limitation. This reframing is liberating because it shifts the locus of control. You are no longer trapped by narratives constructed from incomplete understanding. You are invited to see the person fully, as they truly are, and to integrate that understanding into your emotional reality. The power of this moment lies in its clarity. It is a rare instance in which insight and emotion converge, in which understanding transcends speculation. And with clarity comes choice. You are now equipped to respond differently, to act with awareness rather than reaction, to engage with intention rather than assumption, and to navigate the relationship with a level of presence that was previously inaccessible. Hearing this message is transformative because it bridges the gap between perception and reality. It dissolves the illusions that often dominate our emotional lives and replaces them with insight that can guide behavior, healing, and connection. And ultimately, this awakening is not just about the other person, it is about you. It is about learning to perceive truth beneath appearances, to listen beyond surface level communication, and to allow understanding to reshape how you live, love, and relate. So when the final message comes, receive it fully. Allow it to awaken your emotional clarity, to dissolve confusion, and to illuminate the hidden truths that have been waiting for recognition. Because in that awakening, everything can change, not by altering the other person, but by transforming how you see them, how you see yourself, and how you choose to engage with the world. There is a profound responsibility that comes with receiving a message from someone you care about deeply. It is not simply information to be heard or words to be remembered. It is an invitation to act with awareness. Every message carries within it the seeds of choice, the subtle power to change the way you respond, the way you engage, and ultimately, the trajectory of your life. Yet this responsibility is often underestimated, because the message itself can feel like an external event, something that happens to you, rather than a catalyst for conscious action. When a final message arrives, it confronts you with a mirror. It reflects not just the intentions of your person, but also the way you have interpreted, reacted to, or even resisted understanding them. The challenge is not simply to hear the words, but to see the implications they hold for your own emotional and behavioral patterns. This is where true responsibility begins, recognizing that your response is not predetermined, that you have the capacity to act with awareness rather than habit, and that the choices you make in response can either perpetuate old patterns or create meaningful change. Many people fail to fully grasp this dimension. They hear the words, perhaps feel an emotional stir, and then revert to old ways of thinking or behaving. But the message is not neutral. It is a tool for transformation, and to ignore it is to miss an opportunity. It asks you to examine yourself, to question long-held assumptions, and to consider whether your current approach to relationships, communication, and connection aligns with the deeper truth the message reveals. To engage with it superficially is to reduce it to noise. To engage with it consciously is to allow it to become a turning point. Choice, in this context, is both liberating and demanding. It requires courage, because the most profound messages often confront the very aspects of ourselves that we resist: our pride, our attachment to certainty, our tendency to protect old narratives rather than embrace clarity. Acting in alignment with the message may require forgiveness, vulnerability, or letting go of control. It may ask you to risk discomfort in order to honor the truth that has been revealed. And yet, it is precisely this willingness to respond consciously that transforms the message from words into real impact. There is also a philosophical dimension to this responsibility. Every choice you make in response to the message creates ripples, not just in the relationship with the person who sent it, but in your broader emotional and social life. How you internalize the insight, how you allow it to shape your interactions, and how you integrate it into your understanding of yourself and others all determine the degree to which the message fulfills its transformative potential. Responsibility, in this sense, is not burden, it is empowerment. It is the recognition that the power to change your emotional landscape lies within your response. Ultimately, the final message is more than communication, it is a guide. It asks you to pause, reflect, and choose deliberately. It reminds you that life is not merely about receiving, but about engaging, interpreting, and responding with consciousness. So when you hear this message, do not treat it lightly. Do not allow it to drift past you like background noise. Recognize that within it lies a challenge, a choice, and an opportunity. Act with intention. Because how you respond will determine whether this message changes nothing or whether it changes everything. One of the most persistent burdens in human life is the weight of unfinished conversations. We carry them like invisible chains, long after the moment has passed, replaying interactions over and over in our minds, constructing what-ifs, and imagining outcomes that never came to be. These unspoken thoughts and unresolved exchanges linger in the background, shaping the way we feel, think, and act. They become a cycle of regret, a loop that quietly dictates how we relate to ourselves and to others. And yet, it is precisely in the presence of a final message that we are offered a way to break that cycle. Regret often arises not from the words we hear, but from the words we never speak. We hesitate, we hold back, we postpone clarity out of fear, fear of rejection, fear of confrontation, fear of disrupting the delicate balance of relationships. But time does not pause. Life continues and the unspoken accumulates, forming invisible barriers between intention and understanding. A final message, when it arrives, is a rare opportunity to dismantle these barriers. It offers closure, not in the sense of erasing the past, but in the sense of illuminating it, giving perspective, and allowing unfinished emotional business to be acknowledged, processed, and integrated. The importance of this cannot be overstated. Without closure, the mind continually revisits the what could have been, crafting narratives that may bear little resemblance to reality. We replay old conversations, imagining responses, rehearsing apologies, or holding grudges, all of which keep us tied to a past that no longer exists, preventing growth in the present. But when the final message is delivered with clarity and intention, it interrupts this cycle. It provides the context that allows us to see events as they truly were, rather than through the distorted lens of fear or imagination. It creates the space to release old grievances and to confront lingering uncertainties with honesty. Moreover, closure is not simply about the past, it is a key to the future. Recognizing the meaning of a final message equips us to make decisions with awareness rather than reaction. It frees us from patterns of behavior dictated by resentment or misunderstanding. It allows us to step into relationships, situations, and even our own inner lives with greater clarity, choice, and emotional presence. In this way, a final message functions as both a mirror and a compass, reflecting the unresolved while guiding toward conscious action. Breaking the cycle of regret requires courage. It requires openness to truth, even when that truth challenges our long-held assumptions or forces us to confront uncomfortable feelings. It asks us to let go of the narratives we have constructed to protect ourselves and to embrace the reality that, for too long, we may have misunderstood. And yet, it is precisely in this willingness to face discomfort that transformation occurs. The final message becomes a key, unlocking emotional freedom and allowing insight to replace speculation. Ultimately, the cycle of regret is not inevitable. With awareness, intention, and the courage to engage with the final message, we can choose liberation over repetition. We can honor the experiences, release the unfinished business, and allow clarity to reshape our relationships and our inner lives. The choice is ours. We can remain trapped in what might have been, or we can embrace the message, confront the truth, and step forward into a life where understanding replaces regret and freedom replaces unresolved pain. The true power of a final message lies not simply in the words themselves, but in the transformation it can catalyze within you. It is easy to hear a message and dismiss it as information, as just another statement in the flow of life. But when received consciously, it does something far deeper. It reshapes your understanding, reframes your perception, and creates a shift in how you relate to yourself, the person who sent it, and the world around you. Transformation is not always immediate, and it is rarely dramatic in a visible sense. It often begins quietly, subtly, within the folds of your consciousness, changing the way you think, feel, and respond. This transformation requires attention. It requires a willingness to pause and reflect, to internalize rather than react, and to allow the meaning of the message to penetrate beyond the surface. Most of us move through life responding to events and interactions without fully grasping their implications. We act habitually, interpret through old patterns, and often miss the nuances that carry profound significance. The final message is a mirror showing you the ways in which you have been influenced by assumptions, fears, and incomplete understanding. It asks you to notice what you might have overlooked, to see the subtle dynamics that have guided your emotions and choices, and to recognize the opportunity for growth that has always been present but unacknowledged. Transformation also requires courage. It is tempting to hear the message and cling to familiar narratives, because they feel safe. It is tempting to reduce the insight to something manageable, something that doesn't challenge your current perspective or require uncomfortable change. But true transformation asks more. It asks you to be honest with yourself about what you have been avoiding, to confront emotional truths that may be uncomfortable, and to take responsibility for how you will integrate this new understanding into your life. The message is not complete until it is acted upon, until its insights are reflected in the choices you make, the way you engage with others, and the way you understand your own emotional landscape. This process of internalizing a final message is, in essence, a practice of self-mastery. It invites you to shift from reactive living to conscious engagement. It teaches you to see beneath appearances, to recognize intentions, and to act with awareness rather than impulse. By allowing the message to inform your thoughts and behaviors, you transform not only your perception of the other person, but your perception of yourself. You gain clarity about your own needs, your own patterns, and the ways in which you can cultivate healthier, more authentic relationships. Ultimately, the power of a final message lies in its capacity to change everything, not by altering the other person, but by transforming you. It illuminates the unseen, clarifies the misunderstood, and provides the insight necessary to move forward with greater awareness and emotional freedom. When received fully, it allows you to act with intention rather than reaction, to release old patterns that no longer serve you, and to step into a life guided by understanding rather than assumption. The final message is not just communication, it is transformation in waiting. And the question is simple: will you let it pass unnoticed? Or will you allow it to change everything, starting with the way you see, the way you feel, and the way you live?